Hey guys, and welcome back to DB Talks. Last video, we talked more about the Villarreal Goal Fest and the Copa del Rey semifinal against Atletico Madrid. And tonight's more of the opposite, where we saw a lower scoreline and then honestly a lot of stress, especially near the end of the game today, where Barca grinded out a massive 1-0 win at San Mamés at Athletic Bilbao Stadium. And yeah, it wasn't a really pretty game. It wasn't like, a vintage Barca game where we dominate and, score a lot of goals. But I think it's really an absolutely important game and that could decide the title race. And it feels at this moment that's like the season, every single point matters and every game matters. So, even dropping points or even a draw could have put even more pressure on Barca. And currently, because this win, we are now again 4 points ahead of Madrid, who won yesterday against Celta Vigo. And I was watching the Celta Vigo versus Madrid game, and honestly, they got really lucky to get that win. There was chance for Aspas, he hit the post one time at the end, and then I guess there was a lucky deflection for Madrid to get their winning goal. But still, it's just important for teams to, even if they don't play pretty football at the moment, it's just important for them to get the 3 points. And thankfully, Barca was able to do that today as well. But yeah, let's talk about the game going into it. Obviously, at the away at the Athletic Bilbao, it's never an easy team to go against. And yes, they have injuries, like players, like important players for them, like Nico Williams was injured, so he couldn't play. But they still have a lot of like talented players, Sunset, Iñaki Williams, and many more. But yeah, they're always physical and they're aggressive pressing team. And even in the past, we've seen them counter us, and they have runners that can cause us trouble. So yeah, it's never easy playing against a team like them. And the main thing for Barca going into this game was, to I guess play good football because we just came off the great game against Atletico Madrid where we won 3-0 and couldn't make the comeback, but it was still a great result and a great I guess team performance. And coming off that, you'd expect Barca to continue that form. And especially, I think the main thing for Flick today was that he rotated a lot. And we'll talk about the lineups, but yeah, Flick did rotate a lot, and I think that also was smart because we do have Newcastle in the UCL in just a couple of days. So yeah, we need most of our key players fresh for that game. And I think at the start of this game we'll talk about it, but it was looking not as fluid and not as dominant as the Atletico Madrid game. But yeah, Brajesh, you want to talk about the lineups and going into the game?
Yeah, so just talking about going to the game, kind of like you mentioned, you come off the Atletico game. There's definitely a lot of like energy because I think it was a very like even though Barcelona lost the like tie, I think there's a lot of positive like energy going around the team because a lot of people are very proud of the performance. Like the fans, the players, they're all like very happy about the performance and the way Barca kind of with what they delivered in the return leg. I think that everyone was kind of proud of that and like they liked it. So I think with this, they thought that this energy would like flow throughout the entire season now because I think having games like those bring a lot of momentum to a team where they're more confident in themselves and they can work much better together and they could do better. And I think a lot of the fans also give a lot of like energy to the players and a lot of motivation, which I think makes the players play better. So I think like coming to this game, I think people expected a good win because like I said with the La Liga title race, it's kind of close. I mean, it's a 4 point difference, but going to this, it was I think it was a 1 point difference, right? Because Madrid won the game yesterday, and so Barca really needed to get the win to obviously extend the lead as much as possible to win the title. And I think a game like this versus Bilbao away, I think it's not an easy game. I think a game like these can be tough, and Bilbao, like you said, is a good team, has some talented players, so. It definitely, I think it would be a bit of a test for Barca to really break through the team. And like you mentioned with the upcoming Newcastle game in the UCL, Barca really have to be very careful with some of the players and to make sure they don't get injured. Players like Pedri coming off an injury, a recent injury. Rafinha had some injuries this season. Lamine Yamal has had his injury before, and he's also very young, so he's still developing. So you can't really play him too much. So he obviously needs his rest when he can get it. And obviously De Jong's injured, so he couldn't play. But still, just with the team itself, I think rotation is such a big thing, especially because we just saw that both Balde and Koundé got injured. I think new players will have to take on that fullback role. So definitely that's something a lot that Flick had to really consider when going to this game with the lineups and what he wanted to try and what he thought would work. And I think like something like this would be like a good like it it'd be a good way to indicate like what players he wants to play for the Newcastle game, the UCL, because I think that's like one of the biggest games this season for Barca, the first round 16 UCL game, because obviously Barcelona really want to win the UCL. It's been over 10 years, so people really want to win it, and I think Flick really wants to win it as well. So he definitely wants to bring his best team into that to win as every game as possible, every game he can. So you're talking about the lineup. So I think obviously goalkeeper Joan Garcia, and then center backs. The back four was different because obviously I mentioned the injury, the two fullback injury. So really had to change it up, and he decided to go with a right back Eric Garcia, a left back Cancelo, a center back duo of both Cubarsí and Gerard Martin, and I think like because I was discussing with Deshaun about what could possibly be like the fullback choices for obviously the absence of Balde and Kunde while they're off for like I believe like a month and maybe a bit more, and I think for me like one of the main things was Cancelo should definitely started. Because I think whenever he's played like pretty recently, he's had some good performances, mainly on the attacking front, which I think Barca really need because Cancelo brings a new way to really break down teams. And I think something that is very useful for games that Barca kind of struggle with really breaking into the opposition's defense. And I think you can notice today a bit like how he was kind of close with some chances, like just creating and just being very attacking minded. So yeah, but then I thought German team might have played left back, and then I thought Rahul might have gotten introduced as center back, but Flick I guess changed it, and he really wants Cancelo to play left back, and he really wants Gerard Martin to play. So definitely interesting from that. And then right back Eric Garcia. I think Eric Garcia is kind of a given because I think he's been one of the more consistent Barca players this season, and someone who can play many roles and is very versatile. So you have to understand why Flick decided that, and not like maybe like a Rahul right back. Or a Cancelo right back even, and then playing like a German team left back or something. But yeah, this was I think it was a very interesting idea from Flick's end. And then talking about just the other stuff, like in the midfield, there was a double pivot of Casado and Bernal. So I think it was a very good choice from Flick to not start Pedri because obviously, like I said, Pedri's come after an injury. So I think making him start again after that Athletic game where he played the full game, I think it might have been just too much just for him because he's come off injury. So I think definitely like he needs to be more prepped for the Newcastle game, which I think is more important. So I think Flick knew that and decided to give Casado a start, and then Bernal, of course, because Bernal I think kind of deserved it because in his recent performances he's been very good. So I think he definitely deserved it. And then obviously De Jong's out too, and Gavi's slowly coming into the lineup, but he actually missed today because his grandmother passed away. But I guess with the people who are available, I think Bernal had to start because obviously I think he deserved it, and I think also just super good. So I think it was an interesting choice from Flick's end to play Bernal and Casano. I think it was the right choice as well. And then talking about the front four, so the front four is kind of interesting as well. So Rafinha actually also got rested and benched for Rashford on the left, and then Yamal played the full game. And no, honest for me, like even though we'll talk more about him later, but I think for me, like the thing is, like I do hope that he gets like the rest that he needs because I think playing too much and just I think it can be a bit scary at times for him because he's young and he's still kind of recovering from his previous injury. And I think if he were to get injured, I think it'd be a huge loss for Barca. So I just think that he needs more like I guess care to be rested and just like keep him healthy. He played, and then Almo played, and Ferran played. I thought it was interesting not to play Fermin, but Fermin did come on later. But yeah, I thought like this whole lineup overall, I think it was an okay lineup to go into Bilbao. But I did have a feeling that things would kind of struggle a bit because I felt like with the midfield, I think someone like a De Jong or Pedri really stabilizes the midfield and kind of makes the team feel a lot more smooth. And we kind of noticed that, and we'll talk more about the first half and second half, like the difference. But that's kind of what I thought. Like I thought it would have been a good game, but I thought with the absence of like someone like Pedri, I thought that it wouldn't be as smooth as we probably saw versus like Atleti.
Yeah, and like with the lineup, I think the major surprises were, as you mentioned, like Bernal and Casado starting as a double pivot. We know that Casado, especially this season, he's kind of like fallen off in terms of the pecking order and just in terms of his performances as well, like himself. But yeah, we just don't know like how that midfield's gonna perform. And yes, Bernal has been like really good in form like recently, but being able to control that like midfield by himself isn't something he's done before. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise to see both of them starting as a double pivot. And then Rashford also starting. I think yeah, that was a smart decision from Flick because we do need someone like Rafinha to be fully fit for Newcastle. So yeah, that was a good rotation option. And other than that, I mean, we saw Cancelo, Eric Garcia start, and that was pretty normal. But I think something I would have wanted to see was Araujo start because it's been like, especially last time we played Newcastle, Araujo did start and he had a pretty good game. So if you do want to play in that game, you'd expect like Flick to at least give him some minutes in this game and at least like start him for this game. But that was a bit of a shocker for me, and also like someone like Rooney Bargy, I think he didn't get minutes today at all, so that's also surprising. I just don't know why. He gets like one game where he does really well, and then for the next five or like six game, he just doesn't play or get minutes. So it's a bit of a weird kind of decision from Flick's end for around Rooney Bargy. But yeah, I do think he could have made a difference in this game as well, especially like to take off Lamine Yamal, who does need a bit of rest. Because he did play the full 90, like 95 or so minutes against Atletico Madrid, and then he also played the full game today. So he is racking up minutes. So it is going to be important for him to get some rest in some part of the season. But yeah, I mean, let's get into the game. In the first half, I feel again there was a lot of chaos in the first like 5 to 10 minutes. I think there was a chance for that Atletico Bilbao team where they had like that again the clean run through on the left side, and then they kind of try to play like a low driven cross into the box, and then and this like in that moment, Cancelo was trying to clear the ball, and fortunately for us, I mean he kind of hit it and it hit the crossbar and went out. But that could have been easily like an own goal, and in 2 minutes or so, Bilbao could have been 1-0 up already. So again, a bit of a scary moment to start up the game, and then again there was a lot of like small other chances for both teams. I think it was back and forth, but after the 10th minute, I think the game really cooled off. I think it got much more passive, where Barca got gained control, and then from that point it was just passive play, passing in and out, and then just Barca trying to break down Bilbao's defense. But yeah, there wasn't really much to know in that first half, honestly. But I think the main thing for Barca, I think the main player in the first half was Joan Garcia. I think he had a couple of shots where he faced in that first half, and I think he actually did pretty well to save us and prevent us from going 1-0 down. So he's been so important for us this season. I think he started off the game pretty well, but yeah, the game, like the half ended at 0-0, and honestly, after that first few moments in the first like 5 to 10 minutes, there wasn't much else to say. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think like I think the first half was very like you mentioned the first like 5 10 minutes were very like so much happened. I think Bilbao were very close to scoring. I also think in the first half I think Barca also had some like close chances. I think I remember the first half that Fran chance where Lamine passes the ball like in the box. It lays on a plate for Fran, and instead of like shooting it, he kind of like tries to like uh how you say like cross it back. What's the word like do you know the word like when you pass it back like I don't like try to
Like
cross
lay it
it.
off,
Yeah, he tried to lay
square.
it off in the box, square, yeah. And then, but no one's there. It's all Bilbao defenders, so I was very confused about that, and I think that was just a wasted chance. And I believe it landed on his left foot, so it's not strong foot, but still, I thought he would have shot it because like striker's instinct would be to just shoot it there in front of the goal. But yeah, I think also I think Fran had another chance too. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think I remember him having a chance. But yeah, I think overall like the first half, I think it was very kind of sloppy from Barca's, and I think it wasn't as like smooth and as wasn't as good. I think like Bilbao really were kind of scary at times, and I think Barca also were close at times to scoring, but at the same time, I also thought the game didn't have much going to, and I think part of it was just I think the midfield wasn't as like controlled as usually it is, and I think obviously just it's the players that were chosen, and I can't really blame them too much because they're not as experienced. Like Casado and Bernal aren't as experienced as some like a De Jong or Pedri, so I think I can't really blame them too much. But I think like just looking at the game, like I think it wasn't as smooth as people really wanted it to be, and yeah, it was. I don't know. I think too much. I don't remember too much from the first half, like off the top of my head, because I think just nothing much happened at times. I think it wasn't as like I wouldn't say it was as dominant. I think Barca were as dominant as they could have been, and yeah, I think I just remember like Bilbao being close to chances. Like you said, Joan Garcia is also key. Not in the first half, but the whole game. And I think I feel like his shot stopping is super good. Definitely something that came in clutch. So I think yeah, like I remember now like Bilbao had a lot of good chances that were stopped, and I think also the Highline did well and playing some stuff offside. And yeah, and besides that, I think also just I think the first half was a bit disappointing from some of the players. I think more could have been done. I mean, I do remember like I don't think I remember much from like Olmo and what he did, or like some. I think Frank could have been a lot better. I think Lamine was decent. I think like he was good, but I think he could have done a bit more. But at the same time, he also kind of did deserve like an assist or two from just the chances he was trying to create, and I still think he was also like had some good moments as well in the first half. But really, I think the second half that I think things really started going. So I think the first half, like I just think it could have been better from Barca, and I think I wish that I think like just having the first half like that was just. I hope like it doesn't repeat because if it's against like, Newcastle, I think Newcastle are a team that would take advantage of like a team not playing like a good half and definitely like could try to get advantage to get goals off it. And I think that would be kind of bad for Barca in that if that happens.
Yeah, just yeah, that first half I don't think much happened, and again, key players like Yamal just need to do a lot more. But other than that, I mean, going to the second half, I feel the Atletico setup was to keep doing the high press, try to get Barca off a mistake, and then try to get those crosses into the box or try to get past the high line and stuff like that. But the main thing was to just on Bilbao's end to I guess prevent the Barca team from scoring. And other than that, for Barca, I think the main thing was to get that early goal because you know that if Bilbao get that early goal, they're at home and the fans will be behind their team. So it's gonna be much harder for Barca to come back from that. But again, the main thing was for Barca just like get that early goal and try to get their first goal at least, and then try to build off that. But again, I feel um after like going to the second half, I think again we didn't do too much, but the main difference that we made was Pedri coming on right away. I think Flick realized that there was not enough in the build up and stuff, but um and sadly, Bernal came off. But I think that's a good thing because I think that's a sign that Bernal is also going to play in the Newcastle game. So yeah, Flick wanted to give Bernal some rest. So I think yeah, getting that like immediate substitution, I think he did realize that we do need someone like a Pedri to take control of the game, and also Bernal needs rest. So I think that was a good decision from Flick. But yeah, Pedri came on, and then you can see right away as soon as comes on, I think the game is much more dominant for Barca's end, and I think we start to create more and just dominate a lot more. So again, as soon as Pedri came on, I think yeah, it was much better for Barca's end, and I just yeah, we have to be so thankful for Pedri because whenever we play without him, it seems like we're a complete different team that can't function or like pass like or just work as a team together. But whenever he comes on, he makes like an immediate difference. So yeah, really really good from Pedri when he came on, and um yeah, when he came on, he just kind of did really well. And then the main moment we're gonna talk about is the assist that he gave for Lamine Yamal's first goal, and then that was just a crazy goal in general. I mean, initially like the pass that he gave for Yamal, a really well driven, just well found pass by him. And we've seen so many times this season he picks up these like nice passes to Yamal, and thankfully, yeah, Yamal was kind of left open because I guess the pass wasn't as expected, and yeah, Yamal just kind of cuts in, and then at this point you expect him to finish. But I think if you look at the goal closely, like he does like a small kind of feint where he kind of like drops the Atletico Madrid, I mean sorry, the Atletico Bilbao defender, and he kind of does the splits. But then yeah, Yamal kind of feints that and then cuts in again, and then a really really solid finish. I mean that really went like top corner. So yeah, I mean top corner off the post and then back in, and this was just another great goal. And the form Yamal is in person, I mean like this is crazy. And he promised us that second half of the season he's really going to turn up, and so far he's done really really well. So yeah, I mean, Yamal just keeps continuing his crazy, crazy form, and even this game, like he didn't play as well, like he wasn't as involved as the Atletico Madrid game or other games throughout the season. But like, just if he can come clutch in these types of moments, I mean, that's all that matters at this point. And yeah, I mean, just overall, that moment was just crazy, a crazy, crazy goal. And at that point, Barca being 1-0 up, I think that was I guess, a save and like a clutch moment for the team. And these two players that we have, Pedri and Yamal. I mean, people argue that they're the two best players in the world, and they work together to come together and then like I guess save Barcelona from dropping points in this game. And at that point, I was expecting more goals to happen because obviously being 1-0 down, Bilbao had to press forward and try to score more chances, which would leave Barca with even more space to attack. But after that, there wasn't much that happened. I mean, oh yeah, I forgot to mention the three subs that were made before that goal. Firmino, Rafinha, and Lewandowski all came on at the same time. So again, at that 60th minute, like at that moment, there wasn't really much going on, and the game was kind of still like stale. There wasn't like too many chances, but oh yeah, there was also the Barca kind of yellow card moments where um a lot of people were saying that could have been a red card because he does kind of pull the last defender, and he is the last defender. So a lot of controversy around that, but again, I think he gets a bit lucky there. And also the almost like moment where the other Bilbao player could have got a red card, but yeah, personally I don't think it was a full red because yeah, he does get like kind of go high on him, but I think against it would that would be a bit of a harsh red to give. But yeah, I think those subs came on, and they also made kind of a small difference for the team. I think they give the firepower that we do need in that moment of the game. And I mean, yeah, so many times this season you've seen that these two are like the most important. These like key players are the most important players for the team, and without them, it feels like they're just not gonna the team's not gonna work properly. So again, Pedri and Yamal kind of come together to save us, and thankfully we do get that lead. And other than that, I mean, near the end of the game, there weren't too many chances I don't remember. But thankfully, yeah, we did get the lead. And then at that point, there was a lot of moments where Barca were just trying to hold on to the lead and just try to play the game and control the ball as much as possible. And near the end, there was a lot of like frustration from the Atletico Bilbao fans, and um, a lot of just Barca controlling the ball. So I guess that was a smart move from the team and Flick to just control the game, not try to like, put pressure on too many of the Barca players or just the team in general. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Rajesh?
Yeah, so I think the second half was I'll say it's completely different from what I think. I think the main reason was because of Pedri coming on, and I think Pedri kind of gave that it's like control that Barca really needed to really rule the game. I'd say like dominate, and I think definitely like it looked much better when he was on. I think Pedri adds so much to the team, and I think we've noticed this since he's coming back in the past few games, especially versus Atleti, but even today, just what he brings to the table. And I think everyone can acknowledge how good he is, and I think really I think for me like he's like the best player in the world, honestly. I think he has so much impact, and yeah, I think definitely I think the second half still could have been better from Barca. I think it wasn't like too good either, but I think it was much better than what I saw in the first half, and I think definitely like the team looked a bit better. And I think I would say it's because of Pedri, but also like the triple subs that came on, like mentioned Rafinha, Firmino, and Lewandowski. I think like those players also make some impact. I wouldn't say they added too much impact in today's game, but I think like overall like they're players that will bring more to the team. And I mean Lewandowski looks pretty cool with his mask, and I think for me honestly I feel like he also deserves a start versus Newcastle. I think I know there'll be some debate, and I think Flick might even stick with Fran. I saw him talking more about Fran in his post game interview, saying that Fran has been as like confident or has been as lucky to with the goals, but or disciplined. But I think with the game like Newcastle, and where really I think it's gonna be a hard game at St. James Park, and also just it's a UCL game. And I think having someone like Lewandowski who's very experienced, and also he's like an actual striker, and he's I think like because Barca also very like they love to cross the ball inside the box. I think Lewandowski was tall and he's very good in the box. He's very familiar with the box. I think him being a very big goal threat, I think he deserved to start. But besides that, I mean, I think even like today I thought like players like couldn't have been better. I think with Rafinha, I saw a lot of people talking about Rafinha, and a lot of people are actually kind of like turning on him because they think he has been as good, and they think that he doesn't provide much to the team. But I think he still adds so much to the team, and I think he deserves like obviously he's always gonna start for Barca and the best team. I think he's very good, and I think obviously he could do a bit better, but I think he still, even when he's not good, I think he still brings stuff to the team, like his energy and his pressing, because I think he's one of the players that I think presses the most, maybe even the most, honestly. He loves to track back as well. So yeah, I think he's also super key. And yeah, and besides, I think the most notable thing obviously was the Lamine Yamal goal, and again, it was an insane goal, and it's very nice seeing him get those finishes. Like it's an insane finish to just watch, especially in real time. And I think honestly, just a lot of like individual brilliance from Lamine Yamal's part, where I think a lot of his goals just come from like absolutely like insane individual moments where he decides to take a shot and he just smashed it in, or this time he just curled it into the left, like the almost like top left like post in, and yeah, it was a very nice goal. And I think it's very nice seeing him score that goal. I think Barca really needed that goal to obviously get the lead, but also just obviously it's great for his confidence and great for the team's confidence. I mean, we saw the reaction of all the players and his reaction himself, and how happy he was. Yeah, it was a very big moment. I think that was a great thing. And then I mean, besides that, I mean, you mentioned other points with the Kubarsi yellow card stuff. I don't think it's a red honestly, but that was also like a kind of scary moment. I mean, yeah, there were a lot of chances. I think also like second half, I think Joan Garcia made some pretty big saves that kept Barca in the game. I believe Inaki Williams scored his offside goal as well in that second half, which um kind of scary moment, but it was offside, so obviously didn't lead to anything. But I think that Barca's defense did give away some chances too easily, and it kind of forced Joan Garcia to make some saves that he probably didn't really want to, because I know I mentioned earlier, like a few weeks ago, that he shouldn't be making so many saves in a game. It should be the defense's responsibility to prevent those shots from being taken. But still, I think Joan Garcia handled it well, and I think his sweeping keeping is also super good. I think something that he provides to the team, which is huge, is the sweeping keeping. I think honestly, I see a lot of keepers nowadays be very good at like doing that role. So I think having a keeper like that who's good at it, or maybe even better than most, or better than average, definitely is like a super. It's a big like asset, I'd say. Yeah, I think he had a pretty good game as well. And I'm trying to think about other stuff from the second half that, well, because honestly I don't remember too much as well. But really, I remember that I think the Pedri played super well, and I think he had a really good game from him, and I think he definitely changed the game more than anyone. I think you could tell like the difference between the second half and the first half was like night and day, where I think Barca looked so much better second half and just were controlling, but I still think that more can be done, and I think um well, I think that versus like Newcastle and just the future games, I think things just hopefully things get better, because I think this performance, I think it wasn't that good. I think playing this against teams like Newcastle and just other teams, it might not work to Barca's favor. But at the end of the day, I think like it's 3 points. I think we've seen like last season as well as just Barca getting like some league wins that aren't that convincing, but at the end of the day, it's like the 3 points that matters, and really all you can do is just hope that the next game like turns out better and just plays better. And we've seen a lot of times that flicks Barca can play bad, but then come back and play super well. And I think all kind of noticed like in the last season, right? Like in the more important games, Barca really just step up. So I think we'll see something similar like that, where Barca in this like part of the season, like this remainder of the season, where games are very important and like titles are on the line, that Barca like step up, because I think the players have that in them to step up, and definitely like are thirsty or hungry for it. After last season, what happened in the UCL, I think players really want the wins, and the trophies, of course. So yeah, I think that's something to look forward to, I'd say. And I mean, talking Bilbao, just so I think this might bring for the game versus Newcastle. I think it might. I think I won't say it's a big like momentum or confidence booster, because I think the performance was, I think, crazy. But I think definitely like just the energy around the team, I think, is still very good, and I think people are satisfied. And obviously having that 4 point margin against Madrid definitely gives some relief, obviously, because um we saw at times Madrid over Barca on the table, and so that's when the like Barca really were stressing to try to go over. But now that's a 4 point gap, it's a bit like there's some leeway in it. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, those last 10 to 15 minutes kind of felt like really pressured and, eternal. But thankfully, someone like an Araujo came on, and like around the 70th minute, I think he kind of brought a lot of, calm to our defense. And then, again, he's not like the best, ball playing defender. He's not like really amazing with the ball. But the main thing for with him is like his physicality and his aerial prowess. And, he has the ability to just, clear the ball and get rid of danger. So, yeah, during those like last 10 to 15 minutes, it was just important for a player like him to come on and just try to hold on to that lead. So again, something like that, again, it's not like the best like brand of football, but I guess that's what separates like a 1-0 from a 1-1 or a 2-1. So again, really important for Barca to just not concede that second goal, or sorry, the other goal. And thankfully, yeah, we held on then, and we held on to that 1-0 lead, and that's all that matters. And thankfully, yeah, another big 3 points, and we extend our lead back to 4 points in the La Liga table. So that's what matters right now. But yeah, let's move on to the player performances and man of the match debate. But For me personally, the man of the match would go to Pedri. I think as soon as he came on, you saw a difference between the sides. And again, it seems like the first half was a completely different team from the second half. And the main difference was Pedri coming on. And I feel, again, whenever he comes on, he just brings a lot of control to our game. And it feels like all of our, football just flows through him. And again, he just made the key difference. He got the assist, obviously, for the Yamal goal. But other than that, again, he was just really influential. And I think he made a big difference. Obviously, yeah, credit to Yamal. I think he's also one of our best performers in this game. Alongside Joan Garcia, I think he was also really good. But some performances I want to highlight that weren't as good. Ferran Torres, again, we keep saying this every single game that he plays. He just doesn't do enough. And again, there was a couple chances in this game where he was played the ball to him, and he just takes a weird touch and it goes like nowhere and it goes like somewhere else. But again, he's really frustrating at the moment. He hasn't been doing enough as a player to be that starting striker for Barca. But we have no choice at the moment. And even Rashford, I feel like he didn't do really too much. And that's something frustrating with Rashford because, we know that he can be that one on one player. We know that he can, take on his man and have that crazy shot that he always has. But again, he didn't show it out. He didn't show that at all this game. And it just felt like he was being like a bit too passive, where he was just trying, pass back or get the clean opportunity to cross the ball. So yeah, I just want to see a lot more from Rashford as a player. Other than that, I mean, Olmo as well wasn't anything too special. He didn't do too much. Casado as well, I think he was decent. I think he made a couple tackles, but again, just like ball playing wise, he wasn't too special. And yeah, other than that, those were my performances.
Yeah, for me, I'd say I had the same man of the match actually. I think Pedri for me, we man of the match. I think Pedri when he came on had such a big impact, and I think the game just changed when he came on. So I think definitely like throughout the whole game, he was. I would say he's like the best. I would say he deserves MVP in my opinion. But yeah. Besides that, I think Lamine Yamal had a good game, and he got the game-winning goal. So definitely credit to him. And I'd say also credit to Joan Garcia. I kind of mentioned it earlier before, but he made some huge saves that I think definitely kept Barca in the game. Because if he conceded those, then it would have been a bit bad. So yeah, I think that was big for him. And also, I think Cancelo had a decent game as well. I think I noticed like attacking wise, he had some good like trying to create stuff. So I think like stuff like that is just pretty helpful for Barca because I think at times like Barca need like different like outlets to really like create stuff. So having a player like Cancelo who's a fullback who provides like a different thing and you can play on both flanks, I think definitely something like that. And I think today that he kind of demonstrated like what he can offer. So I think especially with like Balde's absence, I think he'll have to be pretty huge in the left back position. So it's good to see him do well. And besides that, I feel like there weren't like too many notable performers. I think the game was the win. I think what happened. Honestly, I think the performance could be a bit better, but I think right now I think that Barca's focus on the next game, Newcastle. I think that's like the much more important game and the game that really all the prep has to go into. I'd say, and yeah, besides that, I think more can definitely happen from some of the players. I think a lot to be expected from them in like other games. So I think definitely like I would love to see players like almost step up more. Rashford, hopefully Fran get informed because I think Fran, like he's been starting games, so he's definitely expected to score as well in that like striker position. But for me personally, I mean I don't know what you think, but for me personally, I feel like Lewandowski, I think he's fit enough to start. And I feel like he should definitely like play start Newcastle because he's more experienced. And I think we've seen Lewandowski in UCL and he just gets goals. Even with his age, he still just gets goals. Even if he doesn't play well, he gets goals. And that's the one cool thing about him that he just scores and he's a very good striker. So yeah, I feel like with him, like we can see that with Ferran. I know people talk about like a false nine, like they're saying that Flick can try a false nine with like I don't know, like Olmo or Fina or something. I don't think Flick will really try that at this part of the season. I'm not too sure. But it'd be nice to see like different players get minutes. I think Rooney definitely deserves minutes because I think he's super talented and most of the time we see him play, he's been doing super well and made super like a lot of impact. So I feel like he definitely deserves like something. I think Fermin also like I think like the whole Fermin Almo debate on the 10 rule definitely is interesting because I think both provide their own type of impact in different situations. I feel like it's very game dependent, but yeah, I think there's just a lot of different like avenues that Barca can really go in terms of like the lineups. And really I'm just interested in seeing the Newcastle game, like how Barca approach it. I think that's like honestly one more exciting games this season that Barca have to play because it's round 16 against Newcastle at a tough stadium, and it's one of the main like tests that Barca really have to see how they do and really to see if Barca can really back up the word of just um, doing well because I think the players kind of promised a lot already about trying to win the UCL and how they think they'll win the UCL and really just like um just playing well and like satisfying the fans. So yeah.
I do agree with you on the Lewandowski take. I think, yeah, against Newcastle and especially like our big games this season, I do think he should be our starter because, again, I feel like even though he's like, 37, 38, I think he still provides more at that striker position than someone like a Ferran Torres because, again, yeah, he does still have that movement. He still has that physicality. He still has like that box threat that we do really miss because in games like even today, we saw so many times like a player like Lamine Yamal or Cancelo trying to, cross the ball into the box, but again, just it's just the no one. No one's in the box. No one's like trying to attack the ball or attack the box. And again, I feel like yeah, I think Lewandowski could provide the solution to that. And even like with Ferran, I think he does actually do well when he is subbed on as a player. So yeah, I just think for both sides, I think it just benefits the team when Lewandowski starts the game. And yeah, hopefully he is fully fit. I mean, yeah, he's wearing a mask, but I think he should be fit enough to play the Newcastle game. So hopefully, yeah, we do play that game. But again, wrapping up the Bilbao game, yes, it was like a pretty ugly 1-0 win, but at this point of the season, that's all that matters. And yes, again, it was like a rotated side where we did see key players like Rafinha, Pedri rotated. So yeah, again, the main thing for this game, I think even Flick knows it was a 3 points. So yeah, thankfully we got that. But looking at the big picture, obviously we are again 4 points ahead in La Liga, and again, hopefully we do keep winning games to just keep that lead even going to the Clasico. And there are a couple like games left in La Liga that could be tough. Getafe away, Atletico Madrid away. So yeah, there could be a couple fixtures that could trouble us. So again, winning games like these is what matters at the moment. And yeah, looking at the upcoming game, Newcastle, I feel like key players they get rotated, so hopefully they are fit, and I think they should be able to make the difference. And again, we do have to learn from the Atletico Madrid tie, where we did concede a lot at their place at their stadium. So again, we are going to St James Park first, so there's going to be a lot of fans that are going to want their team to get an early lead and get a big difference going to the second leg. So hopefully we do like learn from that and do much better in the away leg. And yeah, overall, I just feel like going to the Newcastle game, we are in pretty good form. It's going to be interesting to see a player like Lamine Yamal who hasn't played there yet. Obviously, he missed the first fixture because of injury, and yeah, even like a player like Rashford, he did really well in the previous fixture. Hopefully, he does have that sort of impact, even if he comes off the bench in this game. So yeah, just going to be interesting to see how that goes on for the Newcastle game. Obviously, we are still competing for the UCL and La Liga. So those are the two main competitions we're focusing on at the moment. So yeah, hopefully the form just keeps continuing and Flick is able to adapt and hopefully play well.
Yeah, we talk more about Newcastle because obviously that's the next game, and I think that's like one more um like games that people are looking forward to, and yeah, I think it'll be definitely tough for Barca because again, Newcastle are an easy team and it's at a hard stadium, so I feel like I can't put too much expectation to Barca going to the game, but I do think Barca can get the win away and then honestly home. So some players obviously do more. So definitely, like whoever starts has to put in their max effort, and I think that's really what's gonna lead Barca to do well. I think definitely like like I guess like also something that just is really kind of obvious, but just that games in the league are different than games in like a like a knockout tournament or like at the like the league is different than the UCL. So I feel like the way Barca play won't be like versus Bilbao. I think sometimes at times like versus like in like the league, Barca don't play to their best effort because maybe they know that's not important. It's not as important as a UCL knockout game. So I feel like when it's like when it's high stakes, I think Barca tend to usually try to do more. Um, I think we have seen like also just in the UCL, like there's some performances that Barca have been a bit disappointing in, like the PSG game and the Chelsea game. But I think now it'll be a bit different where players like Rafinha are back, Pedri's fit, Lamine Yamal's fit, and also just I think like the team is playing much better, and yeah, I just think it'll be huge to see how Barca really do perform. And I don't I believe Newcastle lost today to City as well. Um, yeah, they lost to City, so I think Newcastle also like mm, I don't know. I don't know much about like too much about them to know what they're thinking going to the game, but yeah, I just think it'll be a big game. I think definitely like a win will be super good for Barca to just advance to the next stage because yeah, obviously like, Barca won the UCL, so yeah, I think trying to get a very good convincing win will be huge. I think it'll prove more about how good this Barca team really is. I just think also just Barca really need to get a good win to kind of um I guess kind of repay for some of the stuff that we saw earlier in the season where Barca didn't play well and kind of failed some of the bigger games. So I think this Newcastle game will be pretty big to see kind of what happens.
And yeah, just to wrap up again, I mean, obviously a big win, a big 3 points at Bilbao Stadium. And yeah, we are going to see you next at the after the Newcastle game. So again, as we mentioned, like it's going to be really important. It's never easy to play a team like Newcastle, who again beat United with 10 men, and against City, yeah, I think they rotated, so they did lose that game. But I think yeah, their main focus is the Barca game. So yeah, we can't take them for granted. A player like Gordon, he has 10 UCL goals, I think, around that. But that he is doing really well for in the UCL. So again, he's a runner. He could cause Barca's highline trouble. So again, a lot of players that um, Newcastle had, they could cause troubles with the high line situation. And even their like midfield, they have a lot of like solid players like Tonali, so they could cause a lot of problems. And another main threat for them is like the corners and like set pieces because they have a lot of tall players. I think Dan Burn has like scored a lot of goals from set pieces because he's so tall. And yeah, I mean, we've seen in games where Barca struggle with the whole set piece and like clearing the ball in corners and stuff. So hopefully, Flick does have a plan for that, and we're gonna look forward to that. But I mean, yeah, let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you looking hopeful for the Newcastle game, and do you think Yamal's one of the best players in the world at the moment in recent form with his goal, especially today? But yeah, let us know your thoughts down in the comments. But thank you for listening, and peace.
Goodbye.